This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we do have a quorum of board members. All 5 of us are here in the room. Proof of notice was given on Friday from the manager's email and also on the notice boards. Next point of order is the approval of the minutes. So we have 2 minutes to approve, which were part of the package. The board meeting minutes of October the 10th and the closed board meeting minutes of October the 20th. So if I could have a motion, first of all, to approve the board meeting minutes of October the 10th. We can talk about the actual contents once we've done the motion. Have a second? Okay, so open it up for any questions on the board meeting minutes for October the 10th. No? Okay, if we have no questions, all those in favour? Okay.
I'll abstain. I was not present.
Okay, so Marilyn is abstaining because she was not present. Okay. And then the board meeting minutes for the closed board meeting of October the 20th. If I could have a motion to approve those board meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, any questions around those minutes? Okay, all those in favour? Aye. Unanimous? Okay, thank you. So then I will turn it over to DJ for the management report, please.
Sure. First, I'd like to welcome Derek Orris as our Chef and Bee Director for the Plaza and the golf course. Some of you got to meet him this weekend down at the golf course, hosting his first event, being member, in which we had 112 residents in participation. RJ and the team did a very good job on that. Nicole also hosted our Trunk and Treat event, which brought in over 100 residents as well at the Plaza last week. Another very successful event. Last month, we previously hosted our town hall for the 2023 budget review. A notice for 14 days has been sent out to the residents for our budget adoption meeting and also our members meeting following that. We're now collecting proxies. That will get sent out via email as well in the near future. Brittany and I continue doing home inspections for the ARC violations. Currently, we're at 69 outstanding violations in the community, 4 of which are going to the 3rd notice for the Covenants Committee in the next 2 weeks. And then lastly, our bocce ball court at the Plaza was redone by one of our facilities team members, Gene. He smoothed the surface out as much as he could. We'll probably have to get it redone by a professional.
Okay. I just want to touch on one point there, TJ. You mentioned about the proxies. Just to be clear on what that is, it's the increase in the capital contribution for resale of homes. At the moment, it's capped at $750. So when a property in the community is sold, there is a capital contribution of $750, which up until recently has just gone into operating funds, so has kind of been lost completely within the overall running of the community. The proposal that we've put forward is that that gets increased to a minimum of $2,000, and that from January the 1st, that gets put into a reserve fund as part of the overall ability to build up the reserves. Now, we are entering into a period of time when the resales are not as active as they were, a year ago. So it's not going to have the same financial impact as we hoped it was when we first thought about this. But it is still important that you get the proxy vote in, because we need 10% of the community to vote on this, which means it's 94 homes need to vote on this. And in order for us to approve it, it needs to have 51% of those 94 homes say yes to the increase. It doesn't impact anybody that's selling their property. It is only new people buying into the community where they would have to pay this increased capital contribution. So we saw it as a way of helping to add to the reserve fund. As I mentioned, it's not going to be as significant as we had initially thought because there are not as many resales happening now as when we first thought about it. Important that I mention it though to make sure that everybody submits their proxy.
And the board recommends passing this motion.
The board does recommend passing this motion. Sorry, put my glasses on.
Quick question, you keep saying a minimum of.
Yes.
3,000. What, that seems kind of ambiguous to me.
Yeah, we decided that going from 750 to 2,000 initially, and then we'll see what, the reaction is on that. And then we look at what other communities in the area are also charging for that. And it's around about 2,000 to 2,500. So that's kind of the number that other communities, we don't want to put something in there which will stop people being able to sell their homes because it becomes too restrictive financially, but it's around that number. So that's where we went for.
We're providing flexibility right now.
It does provide flexibility going forward. So we don't have to go out to the community again and change it through the proxies. It gives the ability for the board to increase that at a board meeting rather than having to go out to the whole community for it going forward as well. Okay, so I will, before I turn over to the committee reports, I just wanted to kind of mention a couple of things. And, one of them is, this is for all of the board members and all of the committee members, is clear line of communication. In meeting with First Services this morning and talking to, Keneal and Christina, that there is a lot of different lines of communication that are happening within, the board and the committees. And part of the agreement with First Services is that they would have one point of contact in terms of the overall communication. Now, in practical terms, that's not how it should work. I think the committees need to work with the representative from First Services that is part of that committee so that they can then get an input from the management company. But I think in terms of communication to the First Service employees, that should come via proposals from the committees to the board. The board then approves those and gives direction to First Services. We shouldn't have people giving directions to First Services independently of that process. Otherwise, it just causes confusion, and then First Services are, not sure in terms of which way they should be directing their efforts.
And those proposals would then go through the board liaison, that's the representative on the various committees. So the connection is through the board liaison.
It is. And the second thing I wanted to mention, and this is broader out to the entire community in terms of the board and the committee members are volunteers. We live in this community. And so, please respect the fact that if we're out playing golf, if we're out in the community, that there are ways in which to communicate to the board and the committees without kind of attacking, without dealing with them and addressing them in those environments. So I think that just respect the fact that people are, we are all residents here, we're volunteers. There is a way to communicate to the board and to the committees through the proper channels. So I just want to reinforce that because I know there have been a number of situations where people have been, pulled to one side and been various conversations which really should be happening here.
And on that note, those items should come to me or to TJ really, and then we can escalate them to the board.
Or through the contact center, they start to phone the contact center with their issues. And we have the board at mycountryclub.com. Yep.
Okay. All right, that being said, I will then ask Gary, from an art perspective, do you have anything to report today?
Thank you very much. Good evening. I would like to thank the board for acting expeditiously to appoint John Beaumont and James Mallon to fill the 2 vacancies on the committee. Your quick action allowed both gentlemen to be active participants in our meeting on November 1st. So we appreciate your bringing the committee back up to its full strength of five members. That's the extent of my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gary. And I know there have been a number of violations that have gone out in terms of various changes to properties that have not had the ARC approval. So I suspect that you'll get some resubmissions of applications coming through the ARC committee over the course of the next few weeks. Gary. Okay, legal. We had our legal committee meeting today. A number of things we talked about during the legal committee meeting was around the engineering study. And I don't want to steal Pat's thunder, but basically we're at the stage now with the engineering study that we are going to present that together with accompanying documents, i.e. the clipboard, and a number of other issues that Ethan and the facilities committee and Pat have identified with the golf course that will be included in that, what they call a 558 notice, which is a formal notice to the developer of the issues we see within this community that need to be rectified. So that is being finalized, and that should be going out probably later this week. And so we will then see what reaction we get from Lennar. There's a number of things that they can do. They can identify certain work that they will work on, and they'll come to us and say, okay, we'll repair these lists of items. They can ask for their own independent inspector to come in and evaluate the properties, which they can do as well. And they can also offer us some money in terms of, okay, we'll pay you this if you'll sign off and release us from any further action. Well, clearly we're not going to do that, but I'm sure that will be one of the things that they will come to us and make us an offer for. So we'll see once the formal notice has gone in, what response we get from Lennar on that. We've also, in the latter stages of registering our trademark and logos, this was never done by the previous management company or by the developer. So the Championsgate logo, Championsgate Country Club, all of those are trademarks and logos that we are now registering. So nobody else should be able to use those, otherwise they're infringing upon our trademarks. Collection policy we'll talk about a little bit later in the agenda today. So we're going to talk about a revised or a new collection policy, or introducing a collection policy for delinquencies where people are not paying their assessments or their plaza food credits. We also talked about background checks for new residents, and that's something we'll be exploring in a little bit more detail with them. And also talked about SWS and the consistency of installation of the security systems in the homes, because it varies significantly from Country Club 1, which is these guys here, which were built 8 and 9 years ago, to Country Club 5, which is Fox Parcel, which were built within the last couple of years. So the level of equipment that was installed in Country Club 1 versus Country Club 5 is significant. So does that mean they've breached their contract? That's what we're asking the attorney to review for us. Obviously we don't pay a significant amount of money for that particular service. It's $10 a month per household. So if we were to change something, it would need something, we'd need to be looking at that in terms of the overall cost. So I know other companies like ADT would charge us multiples of the $10 that SWS is currently charging us. That was everything I had from a legal committee. John, did you have anything on finance?
Sure, we have all but one of the volunteers in the finance committee that have signed their documentation just acknowledging standards. We received the September financial statements that FSR went over with a subset of the financial committee a while ago. We'll be posting those. And then we've worked with First Service to establish a cadence. So unlike in the past, on a monthly basis, we'll actually do that toward the end of the month so that the committee members are all participating actively in that process.
Okay. And next Monday, we have the final budget meeting. Yes. Okay. Terry, on
Yep,
social?
not a problem. I got Megan Bell here. Megan, can you stand up, please? Megan, we got to put in, but she would like to chair the activities committee.
Okay.
We found 7 people. Keneal has all the information on that. Megan has about 21 years in events, planning events, coordinating them, weddings, parties. She has worked at Sola Vida for the events for 7 years now. There's 7,000 people in that community, and she will be able to help tremendously with Nicole and FSR coming up with great ideas of what to do. So Megan, you want to talk about what you guys are working on right now?
So I'll keep it simple.
Can you talk to the mic a little bit so the people on the phone can hear you?
Okay,
Thanks,
all
Megan.
right. I will keep it simple. We're just trying to start, with a small window up through the end of the year. The first thing, of course, is Thanksgiving and the World Cup. So we're just trying to plan those things out. Thanksgiving food and beverage is doing a couple seatings. The World Cup, we have some ideas that we are putting together. We'll get out here in the next couple of days. And then Christmas festivities, but we just want to keep it short, sweet, and then focus on a year plan and get, a good plan together for the rest of the year.
Okay, great. Thanks, Megan.
Yeah, she wants a lot better quality of what's going on. We kind of like have a lot of things going on. We want to focus and just make everything a lot better than what it was. So.
Fun, bigger, little bit more substantial, not a lot of little events, but maybe a key, events throughout the year that will really raise some money for the plaza, the community, the golf course. I have different events, ideas for different locations that can bring some substantial revenue in. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good. Yeah, thanks. I think as long as, just make sure you're working closely with Nicole on all of this, because, she's our lifestyle director, so we need to make sure that she's engaged on all of this.
Absolutely. And they were thinking about bringing the new chef into the next activities meeting, seeing what he would like to do, because, food is what everybody loves, and we would like him to give us an idea of what he would like to put out and give to the community, so we just don't tell him what we want. So let him get a little say in it. I think it would go a long way with that.
One of the things we talked about this morning was having Chef Ron come back on a quarterly basis, because he did such a super job here. And not to undermine Derek's role, but maybe he's kind of your celebrity chef coming in for services. I think everybody loved him when he was here. So maybe on a quarterly basis he has, or on a half-yearly basis, has an event that involves Chef Ron coming in to do some cooking. So that's something the social committee can think about.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's a great idea too. And then I talked to Nicole. We contacted the sheriff's office. She submitted the proper paperwork to get for the golf cart parade, to get a police officer here. So we're able to go across the street on West Side without any problems.
Good.
Next thing I want to talk about, we have the pickleball committee here. Pickleball committee is now a subcommittee of the activities committee.
Good.
And this is Matt. Matt here is retired Master Chief of the Navy, did 30 years.
Hi, Matt.
He is the one who wishes to chair the subcommittee for the pickleball. We have 7 members. I know we already voted on Kathy to be on it, or Karen to be on it, I'm sorry, to have 2. We also have Alan. Alan's
Westerman.
Yep, he wants to be on the committee also. And then Matt Hutnick. Yes, Hutnick, he wants to chair the committee. So he sent me the roster. I forwarded those to Nicole. I put Keneal and TJ. It's probably my fault on that, but and then we also put the proposed charter. They did the complete charter. I got it and I forwarded it to all you guys. It should be in your inbox for them. And if there's anything else we need to do, just let me know and we'll make it happen. So
No, I think as long as all the committee members sign the documentation that they need to confirm, the social media, etc., all of those documents, then we have no issues, and they're not delinquent on any of their assessments.
Correct.
The usual requirements. So as long as that they meet all of those standards, then that's fine. But we do need to. The board does need to appoint the chair. So we need to appoint the chair for Megan.
Correct.
Yeah, so we need to have a motion for that. So if you can motion, and then we can approve it.
A motion to have Megan chair the activities committee.
Can we have a second? Any questions? All those in favor? Right, that's unanimous. And then a motion for
A motion to make Matt Hutnick the chair of the subcommittee of pickleball.
second. Second by Pat. All those in favor? And that's done.
Thank you, Matt. Matt, do you want to put anything out real quick? Just let us know.
A little bit of background is people have been playing pickleball for about 2 years now out on the courts fairly regularly. I moved in about a little bit over under 2 years ago. We had a lot of challenges with the volume of people because we can support 12 people playing at a time. We have up to 25 plus on the weekends.
Right.
So challenges rotating through, and a lot of people have a lot of frustration, a lot of ideas, but we didn't have a way to really get our ideas together, come together, and present it to the board and all. So we came up with the idea of having this subcommittee so that we can work together as a group and then present ways to improve the pickleball for the community. It is the fastest growing sport in the country right now.
Yeah.
It's accessible to a much wider range than say football or hockey are. So it's definitely a plus for the community to have a thriving pickleball environment. So we're looking to grow and develop the community's pickleball environment and make it better for all residents and maybe get more people out there playing.
Sounds good. And I know there's been talk about the tennis courts and trying to maybe convert some of those tennis courts. Unfortunately, tennis courts are owned by the master. So until the master turns over, but depending upon who gets appointed to the board at the master, it's something that could be positioned with them through the pickleball committee. I think that would be a good thing.
Look at that a little more of a long-term
Yeah.
thing to approach the board and discuss. And we understand there's some challenges with it, so.
Good. Well, welcome on board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Terry?
Nope, that's it right now. You want me to go over communications too?
Oh, you can do, yeah.
A couple things real quick. Right now, Renee Parsons, she's working on getting quotes for the communication boards. Like I said, there's a lot of boards we could do in the community, but the three biggest ones, I think we should do at the North Pool, the one at K-Track mailboxes, and the one over in the Phase 5 area of Fallen Oak mailboxes. I think those three spots are like probably the best spots to do it right now to get as many people. Then we can work on the pickleball courts and maybe like the bathrooms and things like that. But I think those three first. We're going to go we're going to stay within the art. So I think we're going to do a black, like aluminum, a larger board so we can get as much stuff like managers update every week. And then we can put everything that's going on at the golf course, everything that's going on at the plaza, and all the pickleball events. And I just think it'll really let the community know everything that's going on, and we can draw these people to our events and everything like that. So I think that's really important. Should have that wrapped up by the end of the week.
Okay.
Hopefully before the hurricanes come in. Keep on getting hurricanes. One hits us from the left, now one's hitting us from the right. So see what happens to that. Next thing is, I took the FSR's Connect little flyer.
Yep.
And I sat there and I kind of did it up, make it specific to Championsgate. Because if you log on Connect, like I had to call Keneal about this. I'm like, Keneal, I can't log on Connect. I'm putting Championsgate. Championsgate's one word, but technically if you go Connect, you have to put a space. If you don't put a space, if you don't put Champion Space Gate and you put 3396, it doesn't work. You have to put the space in there. It's not going to work. And a lot of people don't know that. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I couldn't figure it out. I tried Davenport and then I put Championsgate. I'm like, it don't work. You have to put space. So those little things like that, we're going to let everybody in the community know this is what you have to do in order to do it. And we'd like to get people, who wants to get the emails. Obviously Marilyn's been talking about it since day one, update your email, update your phone number, update the language preferences you want. So it's going to have all these little things that are tailored to Championsgate on the flyer. I'm waiting on an approval, I was told, from FSR. It was sent out, waiting on it to come back so we can go door to door and start giving everything up.
Okay. I think I don't know what the rest of the board thinks about door to door in terms of, is that something, and you know, we need to get the communication across, but is there a risk going door to door? Because people might get a little upset about people dropping leaflets on their door when we don't allow anybody else in the community, any vendors or anything like that to do that. I just want to understand how that's going to be structured.
Well,
We
you know, when I
have
was
60% uptake already on email, so we're talking, we'll never get 100%, so you're talking maybe 30% of the residents. And we
And
sent
hopefully
out,
our mailer,
and we had the mailer go out with the changes to the,
how to register with the QR code, as well as we've been sending out videos on how to.
budget mail.
How's the open rate looking on the weekly report?
61%?
Is it pretty consistent?
It is.
Here's the thing, I got a thing a little different. If we couldn't get a hold of somebody, we're trying to recruit them in the Navy, we went to their house and we knocked on their door.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm used to. It's the way I was brought up. I mean, I just promised everybody we'd have better communication, and I'm more than happy to do it. Like I said, if we got to vote on it, we could vote on it, but I don't have a problem doing it. I just don't want excuses from people saying, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. Well, I knocked on your door and then I left you something at your doorstep. So I don't have a problem myself banging on 937 doors if I have to. You know, but like I said, I'm ready. So see the word and I'll go.
I'll help too, Terry.
See, Angel over there. I'll help.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're not breaching anything like US Postal, because I know we can't put things in mailboxes and stuff like that.
We're not going to put anything in the mailbox. We won't. We'll leave it at their front door with them.
Okay. Any thoughts?
Put it up, put it underneath the door.
I hope they don't blow
Just
away.
can't have-
They won't blow away because all the doors have those little alleyways going into them. And then if they're not there, you roll it up and you put it right in their handle. So when they go to open the door, there's something sitting there.
I would say my recommendation would be for right now, as it's a FSR flyer that was proprietary to FSR. So we're trying to get it edited with specific stuff for us, as it was made for us. But with the mailer that went out, that everyone's receiving now this week with the proxy and everything, give that some time, because we've already started to see an uptick in registrations. And it's front of mind, we've got it here, so maybe give it the next month till the next board meeting to vote on it, so that we can at least see if we have any uptick in the mailer, which we just paid significant money for the mailer. And then there's going to be a cost to the printing of another $1,000.
I'll print it.
So I just want to, that's my management.
But the other comment which has just come up online here is that they don't want things on their door, because then they're not here all the time, so people can see that their home's unoccupied. So I mean, that is a valid kind of risk.
I would just suggest we go back, this isn't a new discussion, this came up a couple of years ago, and then we revisit what the conclusion was at that point, which I don't recall the details.
Which one?
But what's that?
In terms of doing flyers.
The flyers.
Well, then I say if they don't answer the door, we don't leave a flyer. But if they do answer the door, we ask them if they know how to operate the app, and we can sit there and we can help them through it.
I don't know, I'm still, the space on the Championsgate, I don't recall it, because I've got it set up on my phone already through my account, so I don't know
Yeah, and we have it on that flyer, on
what
the
other
flyer
way
saying
you're
it.
going in, other than to have your account set up. And
What they call, if someone has problems
Yeah.
getting in, that wants to get in, it's more getting the information to them, to get them, to encourage them to register. That's our shortfall.
we also discussed potentially having coffee and.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a monthly. I know I'll have plenty of people to have coffee with. Connect with coffee.
So if we're getting a 60% hit rate, I'm not sure we need to go door to door. But I'll defer to the rest of the board and what their views are.
I'm not a fan of the paper flying around in the neighborhood. And to the point of, you're not there and you've left paper. We'll need to understand the parameters around the delivery of what's going to get delivered.
So maybe the communications committee can come up with a plan to present to the board and then we can take a look at it.
We'll wait another month.
Yes.
That's what we'll do.
Well,
Well,
it's not
there's your
waiting.
feedback.
No, it is waiting. It's,
Well, the feedback is
everything
that
takes so long around here.
they don't want
I
their
told
houses.
them I wouldn't leave it on her doorstep.
Right.
If she doesn't answer the door, I'll walk to the next house. And only if they answer, we will give them the flyer.
But I feel good about the one flyer that Renee and everyone made that went to all of the community in the mail.
I never got it.
Yeah, it's with the budget.
With your
It's with the budget, with the
The budget
proxy,
The flyer that we made.
and the flyer is in there.
It went out.
It's a separate one that Renee and the communications,
It's gone out to every home.
and it's on blue paper. Look for your blue paper.
It's
I
in
made it.
it's in the budget mailing with the change in the rules for
With
the,
your 14-day notice for the adoption of the budget and the 14-day notice with the meeting of the members on the 14th of November.
This is what's
There's
come out.
a blue piece that has all the detailed information with QR codes attached. Some people have had trouble registering for Connect. Many are registered. We're just trying to get it to mix who's, some have registered, some have opted out of receiving their emails, so getting them to go back in and to opt in to accept them.
It's not a,
I did not get it. I didn't get that. I did not.
And I didn't make, this flyer looks nothing like the one that we
Nothing
made.
that I got. I didn't even get that.
I got mine, it was in with the proxy.
I got the proxy. I didn't get the blue flyer.
Because I had mine.
you don't understand how you didn't get a blue flyer. Proxy.
Proxy?
You got your blue one?
She didn't get it. I didn't get it.
I have plenty of proxies printed and I'm getting one before they leave today.
Yeah, and they spell words wrong on there from your management team. And I wanted a shot of what the app actually looked like, so when people go to the app store, they can see what they're trying to look at. I see it here, but it's faded.
Well, that's on the flyer that is for service to get approval from our corporate team if we can edit it without paying for it.
I know, but whoever approved this approved words that aren't even spelled correctly. So it makes me wonder, Okay, I'm good.
Anything else on the communications?
I think he has a question.
So I don't understand the issue here that, so we're contained with 60%, the goal is not to get 100% of the people to
No,
get involved.
we're not content with 60%. That's
Well,
why
I
we did the
understand
mailer.
what the board members picking up
I think what we're saying is
I
that
don't understand why the board member is bringing up an idea. And then, you're reading a comment there saying, I don't want stuff, and you're going by that comment really quick, saying, oh, see, there you go, they don't want it.
no, that's not what I'm saying.
I'm not understanding how.
There's a couple of things. Any email address that we get through Connect. So first off, everyone should have, in their household, should have access to Connect because they need to read what their statement says so they can pay their HOA bills, which we'll discuss later.
every individual, because you have to be an individual to be registered
Right.
to receive it. It's not a household.
There should be at least one per household, and then there's other individuals that can also set up their own accounts.
Yes.
You can access the association documentation, you can access the minutes, you can access the financial statements, etc. So the app is quite simple, and it's First Residential Connect. If you Googled it in the App Store, that's what it says. Having said that, the issues with maintaining more, you'll never get 100% for the following reasons. People change their email addresses and they don't change the location where they have them as a repository. People have different settings on their phones and computers such that when something comes in, if it's considered to be spam, it goes into their junk. After a while, it doesn't go there anymore. Or someone gets something and they accidentally unsubscribe. They're not getting their emails again. It will be a constant effort to continue to educate people that official communication coming from the board, coming from the management committee, or management company, will be through email. So if you do not, and your neighbors do not receive emails, ask them to come to the HOA office. They will be more than happy to help them.
Who's gonna ask them though? How do you ask them? How do you know? Like the people that you say opted out from receiving, why did they opt out? Did
They could have done it by accident.
Why they opted out? Or, I don't understand. I'm trying to understand how do you get those people back to register? You know, if you don't know.
So if you're not getting,
Well,
If
by
you-
talking with them, if they say they haven't gotten emails, so like today, I was talking with someone who hasn't been I was for something totally else. I had opened a ticket, called the call center. I called them back from the call center, and then at the same time, I'm checking their emails. His wife's email was spelled wrong. It was Lorraine O instead of Lorena. So I went in, I fixed that for him. Then I also sent him emailed her how to register for Connect. It's neither are registered for Connect, so that they
I'm
can
asking, like,
take
once
the power in your
they're
hands.
registered, how are you gonna reach those people? How are you gonna reach, see, you're saying you have 60%.
So there's,
right
okay,
now.
can I,
So how are you gonna reach the other 40%? That's my question.
Okay,
How-
here's-
if you
let me
don't
take a
know
go.
who they are, how are you gonna reach them?
I'll take another go.
Door to door
Go on.
is a good idea.
Okay, I will take another go at answering your question. Everyone, when they were sent the original conversion to First Service and Sign Up on Connect, was defaulted to receive email. If they have gone in and chosen not to receive email, which is possibly some of the 35, 39%, if they have chosen not to receive email, they will not get email again. We, as an organization, and as I believe in Florida statute, we cannot go and solicit again through email. They have to go in and put it back on themselves. It's no different than a contact center calling in and say, take me off your list because I don't want air duct cleaning anymore. So it's that kind of stuff we have to abide by within the box.
And all we can do is continually ask them
Right.
through these mailings that we send out periodically, and through the board meetings to sign up and to download the app on your phone so that you've got that connectivity.
So if you're talking to your friends and they are saying, I don't get any emails, then you should be saying, show me your phone, I'll get the app for you so we can download it and I'll help you set it up.
Easier said than done.
Huh?
It's easier said than done. Without a doubt, it's easier said than done.
Any of this is easier said.
I've ran 3 states worth where I couldn't be near people and I had to do more than one form of communication. It's just not going to work. You have people out there 80 years old, they're not going to use an app. They need taught how to set up an app. They're not going to know how to go to the app store and put in their Apple ID and download an app and put Championsgate space thing. It just doesn't work like that. That's the world we live in.
My dad used to know.
A good example-
Your dad might be different than everybody else.
A good example is this pickleball group. There's people that refuse to get on WhatsApp. Why? Because they don't want it. You know, they don't. So how do we reach them if they want to play? You know, how do we get a hold of you? So now we're making contact with you. You know, look, I as well was a recruiter that, you know, door to door, if you reach, you find out do you mind if I ask you why you opted out? Why is it that you don't come to the plaza and we, you know, we can find out a lot of things this way by reaching people. Okay, the flyer, whatever, you know, somebody said there, I don't want no flyers. I don't want no flyers at my door either, right? But if one of you guys showed to my house and knocked on my door, that day I will buy everybody a beer, you know, because I know that will never happen. But now I'm thinking, okay, we're trying to do something.
All right, I think we've talked about this a lot. Terry, as part of the communications committee, you need to come back to the board with a plan on what you want to do, and then the board will consider it, rather than those backwards and forwards in terms of
Wait,
decision.
sorry, the 3 minutes had gone, but
It-
the
That's what I was
communications
looking
committee
for.
will
That's what I was looking for. When Neil just said, that's what I was looking for. But you guys were turning it down like that. You know, so that's what I was looking for.
So they'll come back with a plan and then we can review it.
Neil, when are we having the strategic planning session?
January the 5th.
You were supposed to tell me
Okay.
in 3 minutes.
Pat, on the facilities?
All right, lighten it up a little bit, hopefully. Facilities committee, we do have a full committee of volunteers brought on with, we need to adopt Peter Lightburn as the chair for the second year. So if we could do that at this meeting, that would be great.
Do you want a motion there?
Yeah, let's make a motion to,
Second?
A second.
All those in favour?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
okay, the Villas subcommittee does need some more volunteers. So I think if we can send out a communication for that, maybe TJ in your weekly report.
Pat, can we talk about that a little bit? Because I've seen some emails back and forth on the Villa Subcommittee. I know, I think Robin is on the Finance Committee and David is on the Facilities Committee.
Correct.
I would like to suggest that the two of them remain on the Villa Subcommittee as kind of a specific liaison as it relates to the villa and issues and concerns relating to the villas, such that you don't have to replace them. And then if the vacancies, you're only looking at maybe one person that I understand is moving away perhaps. So that you don't have to replace the three of them because you can't be on two different committees. Because it's a subcommittee, I would suggest there's an opportunity to create, it's an important liaison position.
And we did approve on the pickleball committee for somebody who was on another committee because it's a subcommittee and there's no conflict there. So I think that's, I don't think that's a problem.
They're interrelated.
Yeah, contingent on them being willing. David said he is. Robin.
Peter, you good with that?
Yep, all good.
Okay.
Right.
Going forward, I'll let Peter go after me. If anything I missed, the landscaping, we are currently moving along with the new contract. It is with the legal currently, and as soon as we get through that, I think we're going to have the recommendation from the facilities committee to the board to move forward with that contract.
Okay.
Peter, I'll let you go. Got anything else?
Yeah, two other things just to finish up on the membership of the committee. Pat, we have appointed 4 new members to the committee, and we're just in the process now of getting them to sign their documents. Next committee meeting date has changed because it clashed with Thanksgiving Day, so it will be on the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. Secondly, the facilities committee did a lot of work on changes to parking rules and regulations earlier this year. We decided to put it on hold until the new board was in place, the budget was out of the way. So that is now with, I know with you and Keneal now to look at a 14-day notice of a board meeting to discuss, for the board to discuss the parking regulations. And I think the final thing, the priority for the next meeting is for the facilities committee to start moving away a little bit from the minor things in the community that really FSR as the management agent should be undertaking, and move towards looking at what are the what would we like to see in terms of changes and enhancements to the community. And we have a provisional list that was done a long time ago, which I think John has just as a budget number. But I think in the next meeting we want to work out how we can get the community input in what they would like to see in terms of enhancements. For example, we've got an area crossing by the North Pool that never gets used, that was set up as a croquet area. It's never going to be used. So what could we do in there as a plan for the future? That's just one suggestion.
Okay. Peter, just on the parking, we did talk to the attorney today with regards to the signage and that the master has put up around the gates for towing, and just to ask whether that would cover us for hiring a towing company should we go down that route, and we wouldn't have to put additional signage up. They're going to look into that and come back to Keneal, but they think that should comply, providing we use the same company that the master is using.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that would solve a lot of issues or a lot of concerns people had in the community. So yeah. I guess Keneal, you'll wait until that is answered before we send the 14-day notice for the board meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Peter. Covenants. I know there was a covenants meeting last week?
No, I think it was like a month and a half ago.
Month and a half ago.
17th.
Yeah, we're meeting again in 2 weeks. I
Okay,
don't know if Terry's on or not.
I didn't see him.
And nothing to report from my end.
Okay, golf? Mark?
Golf committee, our next meeting is this Wednesday. Couple points. Right now, the water's going down, so the golf course is in great shape, at least for another few days. The new golf carts are being assembled in Georgia right now, and they're saying that we should get them a week to 10 days. So,
And Mark, just on that note, RJ has said that he's been in touch with Club Car and we're just pending the receipt of the revised contract. We should get in the next day or two.
okay. And I noticed that the other golf cart company was out here doing their
Easy
inspection
Links?
today
Easy
of
Go.
Easy
of our fleet.
Okay, good.
So
Okay, good.
at least I think that's what they were here. But
Yeah, we'll get a hold of them. We want to present a full circle RFP for them to sign. So it's their-
yeah, because Club Car's taking care of the transportation and everything, from what I understand, but they still have, Easy Go still has to
Assess wear and tear.
check to see what it's going to be. We did hold a member this last weekend. It was a great time. Want to again thank First Presidential. I thought everything was good. We actually had 120 golfers. So it went off real good. The tent was a great idea. So glad that the tent is up there now. We can use it for a lot of different functions. At our last meeting, we increased outside memberships from 75 to 100. And we also raised the price for outside memberships and outside trail fees, $500 a piece. So, and other than that, unless there's any questions from the golf committee, that's what I have.
No, that's great. Thank you, Mark.
So just on facilities in golf too, I know that FSR's monitoring this potential storm. And we'll prepare.
The tent may come down.
So thanks-
Yeah, we'll
thanks
come
for the work
down.
you guys
It'll come
Probably
down when
might
we
not be a
bring it.
bad idea to take the tent down.
No, it's.
Great.
Can I ask a question about the outside memberships real quick? Because most clubs, when you become a member, you know, some people live in the community, some people don't. But if you do live in the community, you still get, or if you don't live in the community, you get to enjoy all the community amenities. You get to go to the club pool, you get to go to the club restaurant.
No, not here.
All the clubs that I've been at, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Have we ever, I'm not saying we should do it or shouldn't do it, but have we ever thrown around the idea about letting the outside members have access to the plaza to bring in more money?
Yes.
And how did that go? Obviously, it's not, no.
From what we did look at that. From what I understand, we're considered a private club, owners only, which is in the state of Florida, gives us less restrictions as far as handicap stuff. So once we open it up to the general public, which would be outside members, then basically, you know, we're going to run into a lot of expense bringing in.
It kicks in the
General public.
ADA, and we'd have to retrofit a lot of stuff at this club. Contrary to the golf club, which is public, which is why they actually do comply with the ADA.
We comply, but it's another step, I think, is what
I
it
just
was.
didn't know if we ever talked about
Lennar
it.
cut us out of the Oasis, so the Oasis used to be accessible through the outside membership, and that is stopped for 20.
In fact, our outside members used to include an Oasis membership,
Right.
and Lennar shut that off.
I just think ways is just to bring money in, you know, have 100 extra people come in here and eat. You know,
Promote that man. Promote that man.
It should be a cash cow plaza. You should be making money hand over fist.
I don't know why you don't. It's a gold mine, and you guys don't know how to explore it. Every one of you have failed to make this place successful.
Okay, I kind of don't appreciate those sorts of comments. If you've got comments like that and you wish to be part of the process, then you should have volunteered for board membership or for the committees to have your voice heard.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Old business. In terms of the assessment collection policy,
Yes. So for the, we're going to go old business, it's going to be the assessment collection policy and other fee resolutions. This is to change our collections policy from the 22-day late fee to 10-day late fee in order to ensure that the community is raising the cash flow that we need to get in a timely manner. It is a resolution, so it would need to be approved.
okay, so can we have a motion to approve the collection policy as provided in the board documentation? As this has already been reviewed by the attorney and approved by the attorney?
Yes.
So
Second? Okay, any questions around that? I will make a point of saying that one of the main reasons we wanted to put a formal policy in place is because since the turnover from ICON to First Services and our agreement to waive any late payment fees for 3 months while we went through the transition period has been abused by many, many homeowners who have failed to make their assessment payments as a result of that. So we're now introducing a formal collection policy, which will include late payment fees, will include interest for late payment fees. To give you some numbers, at this moment in time, as of this afternoon, or this morning, I should say, the late assessments delinquent in terms of people paying their assessment totals $277,000. Okay. So there are, of that, 105,000 is over 90 days. And that's 80 homes constitute that 105,000. There is 130 homes who are 30 days out of overpaying. So it's important for us, one, to send out these letters, and I know First Services have sent out 151 letters to homes where they failed to pay in a timely manner. And this policy just formalizes all of that to ensure that people are aware that we do not, support this type of activity. Ultimately, what happens is if people fail to pay, we then have the attorneys issue a lien against their property so that the amount owed continues to grow and will be put against their property. Should they wish to sell, they would have to settle that amount before they could sell their property. So it's important that we get this approved and get this policy in place because the size of that outstanding is restricting us as an association from getting lines of credit. So if we have a cash flow challenge at the end of this year, we cannot get a bank to provide us with a line of credit because our delinquents are too high compared to our community. So we need to get these down. This is how we're approaching this to get this down. Secondly, this does not include the delinquencies on the plaza credit. This is just the assessments. So you add another layer of people who are not paying the $75.
So at the plaza currently, as of today, we have over $71,000 in delinquents with over 139 accounts. So when you do the math on.
And that's because they don't have A credit card
Card
that you can charge it to.
Yep. And or us having to go down and get, a declined credit card. So between those two, so that I can be really candid of how it affects what the management can do of what the board's approved. The board's approved us to do all these things with the palm trees and the kitchen and all these great things, but we can't because our cash flow is too tight. We can't get the line of credit. You've got 16% of the community right now that's delinquent, where a delinquency rate has to be lower than 4% for us to be considered for a line of credit. So there's all these things going into why we're stopped and handcuffed of being able to run forward with projects that your board wants to be able to enact for you.
Well, here's one thing. When I moved here, I had a little issue last week. When I moved in, I did all my paperwork. I gave you guys my credit card, and they went in there and they said, you're good to go. I spend at least $2,000 a month at the plaza with tips and food and everything. I assumed, this is what I assumed, everything's on the Connect app. Well, your bill to the plaza is not on the Connect app. That's somewhere else. Am I right or wrong?
Your bill is on the Easy Suite slip.
It's two separate. Correct.
Two separate.
It's correct. All right, just want to make sure I'm correct.
You're correct.
So I gave my credit card, and then for the last 2 months, I don't really look at my credit cards, whatever, I pay it, but at the end of the month, right? It's never been paid. It was never used. I come up here and she says, oh, Terry, your credit card's not on file. Your balance is $4,334. I said, I gave my credit card. I was all set up. I was good to go. I paid it right when I found out, of course. I gave her the same card that I gave to FSR when I checked in when I bought my new home on Palmetto Dunes. So my question, if that happens to me, how many of these people that were saying you owe us money might not even know that they owe money? That's a communication issue right there.
That's why we've issued the 150, or First Services have sent out the 151 NOLA letters.
Right. I never got a letter. And my stuff even said over 90 days. I never received a letter in my
No,
house.
it's because it's for the
on
plaza. It's not the assessment one.
It's through the plaza. So if somebody assumes their credit card's on file, they come here and eat and spend money, and they're 90 days, they don't know. We don't know.
It's two separate collections. So for the plaza one, it would be a personal email from.
But I think I would get hounded. Hey, Terry, you're $4,000 something in the hole of the plaza. It'd be nice to know. I didn't know. Is that my fault that I didn't know? Or is it not?
The NOLA doesn't count for the plaza because it's not part of an assessment as well.
No,
So
but
they're two separate.
Terry raises a very valid point. In terms of that 70,000, what is First Services doing to notify those homeowners that they're delinquent?
And that was what we discussed this morning, so that the 70,000, we're going to be, Ashley, our attorney's helping us craft our own NOLA.
Do we call
letter.
them or just send them a letter?
We do both. We call.
Because I never got a call. That was 4,000 in the hole.
We call,
I'm just saying.
and then we are also going to be sending letters turning off, getting approval to turn off your amenities until you get it. There is some personal responsibility on checking your statements on this as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
I have a question with Connect. Let's just say that, I have part on file. Will if I owe the plaza money, and it's same, because it's two separate accounts, one's a checking account, one's a credit card, will my unpaid amounts show up on Connect if I owe the plaza money?
No, it's on Easy Suites. So that's the.
So I, Jerry's concern is that, why? I mean, because if we don't know we owe money, because I assume mine's being paid every month.
It's a point of sale system issue that the plaza point of sale system is not connected to First Services Connect. John and I are at the Tampa data center where we've moved all of the hardware out on Thursday, and we're sitting down with the technology company ITS to look at the next stage. The first stage was to get all the equipment out of the golf club and get out the equipment out of here so that we freed up some space. Second stage is to get a new point of sale system for that is consistent across the golf and the plaza, which talks to First Services back office. Then it will be available through Connect. Until we get through that process,
So
it's going to be two separate.
Once you pass this, you're okaying for service to send us letters saying that we're delinquent at the plaza, so at least we know.
Well, I mean, you already should get every month an email saying, here's your plaza statement.
Right.
Here's your plaza statement. I get that. Everybody should be getting an email saying, here's your plaza statement. And that your credit card is going to be being charged with X, Y, Z.
I want to sleep at night. I don't want to know that.
The thing that scares me is every time I come here a bunch of times a week. They're like, Terry, do you want it on your card? Yeah, put it on my card. I'm telling these people to put the stuff on my card for the last several months and it never went on a card. So when I tip them,
They're still getting.
who's paying for that? Where does that money come from?
It ran to your card, and we ran your card.
When I paid it yesterday, but it never got paid the months prior.
Yeah, but it's.
Terry, the people got paid. The people got paid. It just shows up as a receivable from you.
But it never charged
So
my
the
card.
plaza paid for it.
That's what I'm
It just shows as, it just shows as a receivable against the
Right.
association
I just think
because they've been
we have
unable to
people
collect
that
it against his card.
With that whole point of sale system is he's been trying to fix mine since March. And since they took over, I'm sorry, let me correct that. It hasn't been right since Icon.
Right.
And those two have been trying to fix it and every month it's wrong. And it's taken off here and it's put in there and I get charged $75 even though I paid the whole year up front. It's terrible.
Bills are terrible.
Yeah, you can't understand. And every month it's wrong.
That's why,
And
we're
that's
looking
part
at
of the problem we've got with
system
the pound and point of sale system is the bills are horrible.
And it would
What
be
it produces
great
is
to
not
go there at the, use it at the golf course too, if we wanted.
I mean, that, once we've consolidated the systems together, then that facility will be available, should we choose to go down that route. And the other thing is on the 75, from January 1st, we're pulling it back into the assessment as opposed to having it as a separate charge.
Oh, nice.
So you won't have a separate charge of the 75 against your credit card, apart from taxes and gratuity. The 75 will be part of the monthly payment through Connect of your
But
assessment.
you have to use it.
But you still have to use it, yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I may come 5 times this month and blow through my 75. And then next month, like last month, I traveled a lot. I haven't seen you guys but once, and you were here late.
I mean,
You still have the 900 annual option.
yeah.
So then we will.
Yeah, you'll still have the 900 options, so you can pay the 900 and use it whenever
That's
you
all
want.
I care about. That's good.
Okay.
Neil, what's your time frame for getting that point of sale completed?
Hopefully on Thursday, we'll get some indications on that. I mean, we haven't gone out to, because we wanted to get the hardware off-sited into the data center first and make sure that was safe and secure, which it now is. Now we can look at the point of sale system. So there's 2 front runners. There's one called Jonas and one called 4Ts. So, there are benefits and, issues with both of them, but we've got to go through a proposal process and have the golf committee involved, have the food and beverage people involved to see which is the best system for us as a
So what's
community.
your time frame, 2 months, 3 months?
I think more like Q1 of 2023 is more realistic.
Yeah, first quarter 2023, that's what we're aiming for.
It's a full rebuild of data entry, back office entry.
It's literally, it literally is a system conversion.
Gary?
You've got a disaster. I mean, this is shocking to find out this is the situation we're in as an association at this point. The person that I play golf with got the same kind of shock. What it amounts to is, in January, he was told what to pay. He's been paying that every single month. Then all of a sudden, he gets a notice from the office saying, you owe us this amount of money. Why did it take, if that's been going on since January, why does it take until October to go ahead and notify people that there's a problem?
So I think the question is, why is it taking so long for people to be made aware of the issue that they are delinquent in their assessments or it's been incorrectly posted. Firstly, one of the challenges we had is that First Services took over on June 1st, and they were reliant upon the data being provided by ICON, which didn't come for at least 2 months of the historical balances. And then they had to try and reconcile that and upload that into their system. So we're now talking about 90 days, as a result of which that's why they're now getting on top of it and trying to get to a stage where there is more accurate account balances. So it's like the old saying is, garbage in, garbage out. And unfortunately, what we were given by ICON, although I'm not allowed to say anything detrimental because I've signed the agreement, a lot of the information was very basic that they gave us. So the reconciliation was a challenge.
If someone has received a letter that is inaccurate and inappropriate, they need to come and see Tennille and it'll be researched and addressed and made correct. So if people have been making their payments and it hasn't gone to their account, they'll find it. There's not, when we looked at the financial statements, there weren't a lot of what I'd call suspense accounts where those things would be sitting. So there are ones where you do see the same month, like monthly payments have not been received. The numbers didn't change, to your point. So the bills were the same every month. The plaza is a little different animal, I give you that, in terms of like the statements but the HOA, I was shocked when I saw the numbers the other day. Absolutely shocked.
It doesn't, Gary, it doesn't go back, as far as you may think here, right? The issue really started to occur after May 31st, when we decided to give people a break on late fees. And obviously the honesty code in this community doesn't work.
Can I ask, why did we give people a break on late fees? I understand the transition, but it's money that runs our community.
That was, to John's point, it was the honesty code.
No.
We were trusting people to do the right thing because there was a change in the process of how they had to make the payment instead of doing, the payment that they'd already had. So people had to change maybe some of their instructions to their banks, etc. So we said, okay, let's give them some period of time to make those changes because it does take a while. Unfortunately, a lot of people took advantage and have just not paid. I know.
Well,
Give them a month.
well, there was also making sure you could reconcile and had the completeness of the records that came over, which, took at least 2 months. So you give an extra month, 3 months. Now we're coming back saying the late fees are no longer waived. And unfortunately.
That was the big part. If you can't forget the piece where, yes, it was the month of getting everyone set up and sending out that communication, but then there was waiting for the previous management company to give us the ending ledger amount, then our team to go through, audit those ledgers to make sure, upload them into Connect in order for us to even have a starting point to then add on to. And then wait the 22 days, which is what we're discussing here. It just tacked on. So,
We didn't give them 3 months to not pay their dues. We gave them a 3-month grace period for the late fees. So, we all know we have to pay our assessments every month, right?
Yeah.
Everybody here pays them. So, there's a personal responsibility too for the members.
You have your own financial system, First Services does, correct? And ICON had their own financial system. Why don't we just have our financial system for our HOA?
For a couple of reasons. One is it's not cost effective to have our own. First Service has one system that's consistent for all their 1,000 properties, and we don't pay extra for that system. That's just part of the management of the community. And we would never, as a board and as a community, be able to stay on top of, all the changes, all the latest, different things you want to have accounted for. It's more than just financial statements. We'll be eventually getting maybe book and pickleball time, those kinds of things.
But like when ICON left, right? They took all that financial information with them. Same thing if they leave. We don't have any of that in-house.
Well, as part of that, a part of the transition from ICON to First Services, under Florida statute, they had to provide us with a certain amount of that financial data. They did provide us with the minimum amount of financial data in terms of this is the balance for Karen's account. They didn't tell us, what that represented, and they just gave us a figure, and that's what we had to work from. Anyway, I think that what we're trying to do here is move forward to get a policy in place that avoids this happening in the future to a certain extent, but also provides us with a mechanism to go to people who have not paid and who are delinquent. So that's what we're trying to approve here today.
Can I give Robin one chance? Lisa, sorry.
I'm assuming that a large portion of that very large number would have to do with the amount that's paid to the golf course, correct?
There's only one charge.
There's only one charge.
Assessment, the whole total assessment.
No, this is
Summarize the question.
Sorry, can you say the question again?
They're not paying their assessment.
Correct.
When you say assessment, I'm thinking.
This is the monthly assessment for each of the HOA assessment. So you're $400 or $300 a month.
Correct.
Yes.
Are you legally allowed to suspend privileges if someone
Yes.
is over 90 days?
Yes.
I have it on the agenda right after this.
Yeah.
Nope, I had it.
And that's what we will be doing. For anybody who's 90 days plus, we will be suspending their access to the plaza, to the golf, to any facilities.
And for certain circumstances prior to this discussion, we have suspended it.
I was just curious if by law.
We have, yeah. And the attorney has confirmed that what we're trying in terms of documenting it and the wording of the letters that have been approved by the attorney, if we can approve those today, we can start to send out those notices that people are no longer allowed to use the plaza or are no longer allowed to use the golf club until they settle their bills.
Oh, we will be.
Can you get?
I'll tell you, Karen, in terms of, when I look at the reports, there are half a dozen which are with the attorney. In terms of, those are long-term issues where people, have had mortgage, are going through mortgage foreclosures. So there's 6 properties that are in that category. The rest are just people who are just late payers and have taken advantage.
Wait, so you're telling me they have to sell their home in order for you to get, how can you get money from that? You should just bring a lien on their home, but
We are.
what does that do to get money into this association?
That's the only legal action we can take, is putting a lien on their property so that when they try to sell the property, then any proceeds, if it's foreclosed, that's a different situation.
Can you foreclose?
Can we foreclose? If there's a mortgage on the property already, then the mortgage company has the first right.
So then you possibly couldn't get your money back if the mortgage company.
If there's enough money.
And then
from
you
the
got property
sale.
taxes to ground next.
So yeah, we're not second in line. So you've got the mortgage company, you've got the taxes, you've got the solicitor's fees, and then we're kind of down there.
We're gonna flush them out.
But that's why we have the attorneys issue these. So at least we've registered that they owe us the money. And when they try to sell, we've at least got a claim.
We have there's an, for the annual audited, on the audited financial statements, there is a provision for bad debts, which I think is generally anything over 1 year old is provided for, and therefore the expenses flow through the association records.
I mean, we're always going to have that situation where somebody gets into a financial situation and they can't afford to pay. And, we end up having to take that loss as an association. It's, a fact of life. There are going to be, as long as we can minimize that, the better.
105,000 is astounding.
All right, and I'm going to keep us moving so we can
Okay.
get these approvals going, because I've quite a few.
So did we put a motion together for that?
You have
Can we-
Marilyn moved. Yep.
Can we have a vote? All those in favor? Aye, approved. Okay, so that moves us on to the suspension rights, use rights for the 90 days.
Yes.
So here we want to implement for those people who are delinquent over 90 days, that we will suspend their rights to use the common facilities, which is the plaza, the golf. Ideally, to force people to pay, you'd suspend their rights to Spectrum and things like that, but they're deemed to be, They're required. We're not allowed to suspend their use of Spectrum.
You can't do that?
We cannot, because it's deemed to be, that would be great if we could, because that would force people more quickly to pay, but, under it's deemed essential services, and so we can't do that, unfortunately, because, people need to. Yeah.
Just like we can't close out the access at the gate.
So can I have a motion to approve the suspension of use rights and voting for delinquencies over 90 days?
Second.
All those in favour? Approved?
Question, can they disable the card so they can't use the gym and the pool?
Yes. Yes. New business. So the villa roof solar panel installation.
I'm going to push it back one to B1.
Oh, one setter and Webnet.
One setter.
Go ahead.
So for collections of these two accounts on aging accounts, we have one address that we're being asked for. The payment in full has not been received. The next step is to file a lien foreclosure. I will need board approval for that.
Okay. Can we have a recommendation, a motion for that?
Second.
All those in favour? Unanimous?
All right, second property is a similar payment has not been received in full. The next step is to file a lien foreclosure. Board approval is needed. This is a 15-month-old account that we need to move on.
Okay. Have a motion to place a lien against this property? Second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favour? Aye.
Who did the motion?
Pat motion.
Second, Terry.
Terry seconded. Okay.
All right, good.
Villa roof solar panel installation agreement for modification and covenant. You want to talk us through this one, Camille?
So I'm gonna, one more time, and I know I'm like backing up. For the old business on suspension of use rights, there's also, I want to go ahead and have ask for a motion to approve anything over 90 days delinquent. You did that one on there. Can I do it for the plaza? Not yet.
I thought that was for both.
Okay, good.
That covers all facilities.
Okay, good. I just had it in a separate order.
But golf and plaza.
Perfect. All right. So for the modification for the solar panels, so we've had our first request for solar panels on the villas, and with them being a shared roof. Florida statute doesn't allow us to not allow the install of a solar panel. However, it does allow us to protect ourselves, the association and the shared roof and the residents within them from any damage that may be caused by the install of the solar panel, placing that responsibility solely on the installer owner of that villa. So if this is a stipulation, it's already in the declaration of that this is a requirement, but the requirement in the declaration asks for an agreement, a signature, an agreement to then be put into public record. So this document has been assisted with the attorney to get written for us so that we had it formalized for any future and a current situation that with the request of the ARC.
Okay. Can I have a motion to propose the villa roof solar panel installation agreement and modification and covenant be a motion to approve? To submit, sorry.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Do we have any questions around this? And again, Keneal explained it, but the background is because it's a shared roof environment, the association is responsible for any repairs or organising any repairs that are required for that roofing under the Amendment 5 that was passed by Leonard about an hour before they turned over to us in August last year. But this will protect all of the villa owners in terms of if this solar panels damage the roofing, the cost of that is not going to be shared by all of the villa homeowners. It will be protected under this agreement. So, at the moment, if we don't get this in place, then any damage to those roofs, which is caused by the installation, potentially could be shared across the rest of the villa homeowners as part of Amendment 5 of the governing documents. So this will make the homeowner who's putting the solar panels in responsible for any damage that is incurred.
So just to be clear on that, so if the homeowner installs on their villa unit solar panels, and there happens to be leakage that damages adjacent villas, that individual homeowner will be responsible for that repair.
That's right. Whereas at the moment, it would be shared across the 92 villas. Yeah.
I have a question. What about when the villas have to replace the roof? There's an additional charge to remove those panels.
The individual
is responsible for that. They're responsible for that.
20 years down the road.
Should we need to remove those to do some repairs, they're responsible for the cost.
And this goes with the villa, not the individual. So it becomes part of.
It's part of that address, not the owner who owns the address. So it stays, if somebody sells their property, it stays.
New homeowner.
It stays with that property.
They need to know that.
They do.
I can kind of see people, I've been on 30 roofs of this community and fixed about 10 of them. I can just see, I'm for this, I can just see people saying it's the solar panel's fault that my roof's leaking, when in reality, it's probably not the solar panel's fault. I think, 80%, I'll throw a number, people's roofs leaked. If I asked everybody to raise a hand, I'd probably get at least half this room. But we just need to be, worry about that. But like I said, I'm for it.
Yeah, I think we're trying to protect all of the other villa homeowners for somebody who wants to put solar panels up if it does cause additional damage. Okay, any other questions?
General questions?
On this? This. Okay, all those in favour? Aye. So moved. Beautification? Yep.
So we had discussed as a board, we had previously had a beautification subcommittee that had done a lot of the enhancements around the golf course. To expand that and not have it as part of the golf committee, but be a community-wide enhancement committee. Because there's initiatives in addition to the golf course that we may want to raise funds for or, plan or enhance, et cetera. So I spoke with Ron Phillips, who was leading the charge on the previous initiatives, and he is willing to stand in as chair of I'll call it the community, the country club beautification committee. And so I'd like to propose two things. One, a motion to establish this as a committee of the board. Do that one.
Yeah. So the motion is to establish a beautification committee for the country club. We have a motion. Can we have a second? Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favour? Aye.
And then in terms of the chair, I'd like to nominate Ron Phillips to lead up the chair of this committee. And we'll work with him on getting other committee members through the normal application process. But
So do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, all those in favour? I would just say that similar to the pickleball committee, we need to have, a committee charter put in place in terms of what their objectives are, what they are looking to achieve. And then we need to formally go out and ask for committee member applications. Okay? Done. Done. Proposed change, next one I've got, Keneal, is proposed change to the board email domain and ITS management.
Yes.
So just a little background here. The previous management company, when we asked them to set up emails for the board so that we didn't have to use our personal emails, they set up a Gmail facility independent of our technology support company, which means that when we look to get cyber security and data breach insurance protection, to a point that Gary raised at the last meeting, our technology support company won't sign off on that because they don't have full control over all aspects of our technology, because our Gmail is completely separate to what they're managing. So the request here, or the proposal here, is to bring that in-house with a new email domain that will cover the board so that our technology company support can manage that going forward. The history on the existing will still be retained, so we won't lose that history. And then we can get them to sign off so we can get insurance for cyber and data breach. Did I summarize that?
Are we able to maintain our document retention
They're looking,
obligations?
Yes.
they will be there. It'll be a little different company, but yes.
And I think from a financial perspective, it's a minimal cost per annum, like $1,500 per annum.
Yep. Each email was $18 per email, and I also on this one proposed to select the domain name, which I was very surprised that Championsgate CC was even still available, because the Championsgate, it carries value and, definitely has a prestige in its appearance.
So in terms of that, let's just talk a little bit about that. In terms of that domain, will that be able to be used for like the website as well? I mean, can we kind of link that into, so we've got one domain to cover all of our technology requirements?
It's definitely something that I can look into with ITS. I'm sure that there is definite ability.
Okay. Any other questions around that? All those in favor? All right. So moved. I think that brings us to the end of our...
Did you have a one in the vote?
So moved.
Oh, sorry, we didn't motion it first.
Need a seconder.
Second.
There we go. Marilyn and Pat.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Great.
So last agenda point is just to open it up for any further questions or discussion online or in the room.
It's quite, let me get a couple, we'll get Gary, but then I want to get a couple of these online.
So under old business, what is the status of a contract with First Services from the IT standpoint?
There isn't, like, of our,
So you're going to be in control, you're custody control of our data and our hardware.
No, ITS are in control of our data and hardware.
Okay, so is there a contract with them?
Yes.
Yes.
And they have agreed to go ahead and indemnify all this harmless?
Once they get the control of the Gmail, they'll be able to complete the necessary documentation for our insurance broker to get us insurance cover.
they don't indemnify, and neither does Easy Suites. It's not it's not something that, because they don't have full control of the data.
If they get it, then that they have agreed to go ahead and indemnify us for. What limits our coverage are they carrying?
It'll be us carrying.
Okay, what limits are being requested?
We haven't yet, because we're waiting for them to, so we get the email, then they're gonna fill out the form, there's a whole questionnaire that comes with it that apparently is a standard practice that they fill out. Then we submit that with the recommendation of our assured partners insurance provider to get that number, and then we cover ourselves. But from everyone that I talked to after you had said it, they don't hold us, they don't indemnify us, none of them do, Easy Suites or the insurance. It didn't seem like that was a normal thing, like, because they don't have full control.
When we register the domain, it needs to be registered under Championsgate, not ITS or not First.
Yeah.
I ran into a problem when my last community, the HOA company registered our domain, and then when we fired them, we lost it.
Well, it's similar Icon had a number of the websites which were registered in their name, and we lost those as a result of that.
I mean, this registration is good for 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah.
You can do,
And it'll be protected also by our trade term.
as long as it's under our name.
But ITS managing the email and all the
Well,
files,
yeah,
the
you
same
can make
exact thing
anybody
applies
as an
in
admin.
that they can carry it and protect it.
But the ownership should be Championsgate, whatever our legal description is.
Yeah.
That way, even if they hold the password, we can do a hostile takeover.
Yep. Thank you.
Sorry.
Any other questions on that?
So online, we'll see how this goes. After proxy adoption, then target specific addresses who are registered. Perhaps unfortunately, there will always be apathy in folks who will not want another app, or that's basically saying who have opted out. I think the board should, sorry, I don't mean to step on your toe. The board should continue with the adoption plan by email, posting notices, new notice boards, which that's what Terry's talking about, until the end of the year, and look who's not registered and target those residents. Just ideas that he can go back and read on feedback.
Is there any questions on that?
Look in real quick here. It's possible to get. Is it possible to get hit with a large bill for the current cart fleet that's not in service? I think there's 10 to 15.
It's a negotiation, it'll be a negotiation.
Yep.
The delinquent HOA dues at the plaza are extremely alarming. This should be the number 1 priority for first service. There should be very strict policy going forward. Is there a process on removing past boardmen from the list of directors? Oh, the liquor license. I'm gonna look at that and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Camille, what was the answer to that last question? Sorry, I have a personal interest in it.
I haven't seen where you did.
We do need to remove the other board members from the licensing agreement and put these 2 guys
For the
on.
liquor license.
For the liquor
Show
license.
me where I'm not,
Okay.
yeah. Because I applied for that liquor.
And the list of company directors as well for the HOA.
Okay.
So you can make a note of.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Peter, for the reminder. Okay, no more questions online. Any more questions in the room?
I look at the July and August financial statements, very simple. I don't see any line breakdown for buildings. Like when I find their financials, they broke it down by 80-foot wide, the landscape. 60, 50, bill of this, bill of that. But they didn't do that in the July and August statement, so how can we track biller expenses?
Okay.
Quick question.
Sure.
I'll pass it on to John.
The reason for that is that the way that First Services sets up their ledgers, several of the clients get combined. What we talked about last week was putting together something with First Service where we'd have a supplementary page that would show precisely what you're talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, I
You'll see the
appreciate
4 or 5 of those actual budget
Yeah.
variances, so you can see them.
Perfect, thank you. And just one other quick question, our HOAs are gonna go up by a lot because of the reserves master. Are you concerned that people on the fixed income will be unable to participate in golf tournaments or the ladies league or the beautification?
Right.
Just a question.
I guess as a board, we're all always concerned when we have to look at make these difficult decisions. But as a, fiduciary responsibility of the board to make sure the overall community, it maintains, the ability to fund itself, to finance itself. We don't make those decisions quickly or easily without doing the right due diligence to make sure that, we consider all the options. Okay.
Let me just add one more.
Yeah.
The 8th of the new schedule for the Plaza restaurant. How did that come about? And my other thing, I kind of got some feedback from people around here that it was based on the last several months of books and how the ledger looked on sales, et cetera. And I think that's a real bad idea. And I'm just gonna say, because I've come in here, I've left because they're out of this, they're out of that. I've come in here and, there's so many times I've seen you. I've ordered something, they come back 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, I'm sorry, we're out of that.
Yeah.
So I pay for my drink, I leave.
Right.
If I didn't just have water. And so how can you base, if that's how you did it, on sales when the menu's still kind of all over the place? There's still inadequacies. So when people get up and leave and go to Panera, how can you base that decision to take Monday? And then my next complaint is, every time I see a function or like half price drinks, it's during the day. One of the things I'm tired about living in this community is they forget people in here still work. I work for a living and I don't get off at 5, at 5 o'clock some days. So when you have these functions during the day, you're not taking into consideration all the people that work.
Yep.
And also, and I think you should do that, especially when you have meetings in the middle of the day. I can't stop what I'm doing. I'm in a 2.5 company, and I can't stop what I'm doing to log into a meeting.
You raise a couple of very valid points. I think the board has tried to address the second point by saying, okay, we're no longer going to hold those meetings at 2 o'clock on every other Monday. We're going to have a meeting in the evening, board meeting, so it gives the opportunity for everybody to. No, that's fine. That's fine. In terms of the change in the plaza hours, we did take a look at what frequency of people visited the plaza on a Monday. We also took into consideration that there was a lot of requests for the plaza to open later in terms of providing the kitchen open till 9 p.m. as opposed to closing it at 8 p.m. So, we had to then balance that in terms of availability of staff to run those shifts, which is why we had to move up the opening time so we could have a later closing time. Monday was a decision because we have like 3 or 4 covers during a Monday lunch, very little in the Monday evening. So that was the decision made because we would still provide some food functionality, which is what the bar staff can provide in terms of cold snacks, but not to have the kitchen open. Again, we're trying this, we're looking at it. If we feel that it's the wrong decision, we'll change it.
I'm tracking like today, how many tables came in and then left because we didn't have like.
We're keeping to eat actually. I forgot for
Yeah, it's all right.
So, and then I'm like, a meat and cheese platter just doesn't sound good. And
But we're just trying to try the things that we need to try to make sure that we're making the best decisions for the community without having huge subsidies going on to subsidize the restaurant. We're merely trying to do that, but if we see we have influx of people coming in like the Four Tops and Eight Top today, then maybe it's time to try it. But
Well, I
we have to
mean,
try
I'm
something.
thinking, maybe get the menu, maybe use this time while you got the new hours, get the
Yeah.
menu.
And we've also got, we just appointed a new food and beverage director, Derek. So, he's been in a week now. So let's, give him an opportunity to bring his ideas to bear on it.
Perfect, because when I moved here, I know I hear this a lot when I'm here, the food was better. And I understand Lennar loves to subsidize, all builders do, we're gonna subsidize this, we're gonna subsidize that, to get people to buy. And then when they pull out, all of a sudden you're like, you mean I don't own my light poles?
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff like that, but I just think that maybe a suggestion box. I mean, come on, we don't have Facebook, you can see the menus on there. It's just something to give feedback from the people that do come here and do love. I love our staff. I love to come up here and hang out. And Terry's always here, and pay the $4,000, But.
You know bowling alley. You run restaurants in your bowling alley, right?
Yep.
You have any ideas, suggestions to get this class to be super successful?
We're putting you in the.
No, I mean, that's fine. I know that during the week, we aren't open every day at the bowling center. I mean, we have a Monday league, we have a Tuesday league, and we're not open until 3:00 on Tuesday, or on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for this very reason. You can only get so many people to come in. To his point, people work, and a lot of people do work here. So I've been up here a million days since I've been on the board doing meetings and stuff like that and looking around and I'm always thinking about, okay, what do we do? And to this gentleman's point, he was one that said, let's stay open later. And I think what we're trying to do is balance it. We have to realize the margins on food are god awful horrible. At one of my places, I leased out the restaurant because they're so bad. Especially now in the last 2 years where chicken, you have to change the price every day. So that's where you're going with that. So it's a constant juggle, and was it worth to us to stay open? What's the upside, what's the downside? We're gonna have a few people in here, but we're gonna have,
But I think we're also conscious that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Karen. We're also conscious that we all buy into a lifestyle community here. So, there is a lifestyle community, so we don't want to lose track of that and make it all about the finances. It's not. We want to make sure that it's a lifestyle as well. So we'll make changes occasionally. If they don't work, then we'll change it again, but we've got to try some of this stuff.
What I wish you had for getting the people in here to eat. You have 937 homes.
Well, that's why we've got the new social committee with Megan, with Nicole on the lifestyle side. Hopefully they can bring up some new ideas to bring people in.
What months was your data from Kurt that you did so Mondays by that day?
We
Like
did
what months did you?
January, at the beginning of the year, he did a full year. When you pulled back, you pulled in disaster too.
It was 12 months. Yeah, the last 12 months.
Like, do you see a difference when the snowbirds all come with the numbers? 'Cause most people I know are snowbirds.
It wasn't a huge difference. It wasn't, no, unfortunately. Mondays just seems to be one of those days which is not that busy.
In the first hour,
Sorry, David.
11 to 12
I
hours.
was just questioning your thought, the fact that we're now in the snowbird season. Closing on Mondays is maybe in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Something to think about different than the summer.
Yeah, it crossed my mind.
We did look back, as TJ says, over a rolling 12 months, and Mondays was a really dead day, irrespective of whether people were here or not.
And the thing, we have 2 restaurants, so we do cannibalize on ourselves here a bit.
Yeah.
And it's really trying to find a sweet spot of how to not cannibalize. We have a restaurant, a breakfast and a lunch restaurant that you're also having.
The golf, yeah.
So it's not like there's not options, and then they still have the bar open. And then maybe this pushes more to come in to make the margins better on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when we are open.
Mark?
You know, it wasn't that long ago. We bought almost 6 years ago. And when we got here, the Oasis was the only thing.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody went to the Oasis. The food was atrocious. The service was terrible. We didn't even go up there to swim because it was terrible. Well, it took them about 4 years. Now they finally got it figured out. The food is halfway decent. The service is halfway decent. When this first opened up, the only reason it was good is because it was a lost leader. Lennar wanted it to be good to sell houses. When they were done with that, I mean, it just, we're on a learning curve. And I think First Service, Camille, or staff have done a great job, because I think in the last 6 months, I think the food has turned around great, and the service has gotten better, I think. And we come up, I'm like Terry, I mean, I don't like to see my statement because that's, you know, I have a limit on my credit card, but, you know, I mean, I think that we're making the right progresses, and it's just any restaurant, it's, you know, it's a hit or miss. And if you miss, it's unfortunate because you don't get those customers back.
Yeah.
That's yeah, I mean, to piggyback off what Mark's saying, that's the biggest thing. You have to give the service and the quality of the food in line and keep it that way to get people to give you a second chance. And then we can start bringing in ideas to, okay, how do we get more of these people? We might never be able to get them on Monday afternoon because people work. But you got to get a hold of that. And I think since Chef Ron's been here, you know, it's definitely been a lot better, at least personally. And I've heard a lot of different, you know, better comments too. So
I just think one of the bad things is I've been in here many times, they'll tell you in the evening, and they're out of this, they're out of that. And that's a hard, like you said, whoever said, once somebody gets their nose turned off.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to that meeting and that guy went on for 45 minutes about how he would never eat here and it should be turned into pub food. That's not right, because there's other those that love to come up here and eat and perhaps Camille or TJ or whatever while we're eating, and, you know, talk to the other board members, et cetera. And I love it. It's just sometimes my schedule plays that I can't. And my thing wasn't to bark at the board about the closing on one day, it was to find out why. Because you hear the rumor, you know, rumor mill around here, it's faster than the email service.
I do take some comfort in, you know, the noise on social media about the plaza has disappeared.
Exactly.
So, you know, that, where there's, you know,
It's mostly been positive. I went there and I had this and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I come down and I can't eat because it's closed. In all honesty, something else I wanted to bring up. I don't ever want to be witness to it again. I saw somebody that was just an absolute ass in this community, that lady. And sorry for my language, but she don't deserve it. She's done wonderful. So has he. I mean, I feel First Services, if you got a problem that bad, bring it up to the entire board.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that's so heinous or something that you feel, but don't take it out. I felt so bad, I kept hugging her in front of her. I'm sorry you went through that. It was a resident in this community. I don't know if you remember, but I don't ever want to see that again. That was horrible. There's no reason. Everybody up there is a volunteer, even though they're paid.
You still need to treat people with respect, yeah, I agree.
I can get my point across to them without breaking respect.
Yeah.
And I mean, they'll tell you how long I've been putting up with my statement being wrong. But I don't think I've ever lost my cool, have I? And there's no reason to.
Yeah.
It's not them. I understand Icon handed us a shit show, and we just need to bark, and it's gonna be all over again when that gets turned over. And it's gonna be, you know, I mean, at some point, that's one of my questions too, but I'll take it up with the board afterwards.
All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, you know, we've been going almost 2 hours now. Go ahead.
So we have a problem over, I don't know if it's exclusive to the north side, but leaning trees.
Yeah.
Posting in, Angel and I sent an email to TJ.
Yeah.
One possible suggestion, if the board could buy the materials, Angel and I could get some other volunteers to go straighten everybody's trees out. Legally, I don't know if that's okay.
Yeah, I'll address this. So I was in charge of negotiating the new contract with the landscape company. And part of that contract I negotiated, and again, it's going through legal right now, so we can't make the final announcement yet, but that's a free service that we're gonna get. So they're gonna,
They're gonna straighten the trees
they're gonna
out.
straighten the trees free of charge.
So as soon as they come in, that's gonna be one of the first things I address, because there's a couple that are actually leaning out into the street.
Their commitment, yeah, no, I get it. I owned the landscape company before I had the bowling centers. Not to get too much into it, it needs to get done.
Okay.
And they've made a huge commitment as far as manpower.
And the reason why we can't have residents going and doing this is there's a liability.
Right, I know we're on other people's property and all, but.
And even so, there's a liability issue to the association. If we encourage our residents to go out and start fixing things, we don't have insurance to cover that kind of activity, so we can't recommend that.
We have to at least try. We want to see something moving.
But a homeowner can do it.
If it on their own property, on your own property, but not on association property.
That wasn't his property. We saw a homeowner doing it. It wasn't his property. That's not his
Well, you're gonna get people that just go out.
You are going to get people, we can't stop that, we can't police that, but they're not supposed
If they
to.
allow it, then they take liability of what he's.
Yeah,
But again, part of the contract that is negotiated that we're getting close to finalizing is that service is gonna be done 100% on them. And we got a $15,000 quote, I think, from another company.
We did.
As a cost to us to have it done. So unfortunately, these things don't run quick through legal and, we got to get to the end of the road. So doing our best. Yeah, you're right.
well, there's also, under the existing contract, we have to give, if we choose to use a different provider than the one we currently have, we have to provide a 30-day notice to them of termination. So, just bear that in mind.
That's right.
Okay, any other questions? Kathy?
Questions, actually. They're short, I hope. The May financials, I never got my answer about, is that the villa's water that's $16,000 difference at the end of May from our budget?
So any specific questions you have?
John?
We're meeting tomorrow with Camille to do a final review of the response to you on all of your records.
All right.
And
thank
mine
you.
too, you response to mine also, that I sent to you. Maybe you asked me to put it in writing and I did.
So, but just to clarify, in writing is to look at any of the association's records or inspect the records. It must be done by certified mail. So in writing and certified mail. So email is not considered understood.
Is that a Florida law? I mean, we ever said with.
If you look at
It's in
Florida
statute.
720, you'll find it in the statute there for any records are all available, but you have to submit via certified mail, or you can deliver the document to the office here in terms of, request for formal copies of the, whatever it is you want, a contract or invoices.
720-303.
Wait a minute, what did you just say? You can go into the officer and hand them a request?
Yeah, and they have 10 days in which to respond to that.
So what's the difference between that and doing an email?
Because it has to be in a formal request.
Like a letter?
Yeah, which we've just,
So we have to know that someone has actually received it.
Like being served.
Oh, so wait a minute, so if I did that email and I printed it out and walked over and gave it to
no, it has to be.
Specific about what you want to look at.
Yeah.
I was very specific on what I want to look at. I want to look at the landscaping invoices and the water invoices for the village, for really this whole year.
Neil, can you provide Karen with the document that she needs to complete to request, which is basically this. Request to inspect and copying of the country club records. So you need to complete this.
It's basically, that's what you can request and just send a letter in writing.
Where did you find that?
Under the 720, 303. No,
Get
this-
your copy. It's 7.
Can you get your copy?
What are you talking about?
I mean, you can Google it online.
I'll come over. Let's get this
Yeah,
adjourned.
do that.
Hold
Okay.
on 1 second.
Okay, any other questions? Kathy, you had another one.
You said the engineering report's going to go to Lennar. Are we going to be able to see that?
No.
I was just curious.
No. The reason why is it's privileged legal document between the association and the attorney and the engineering firm, so we can't make it public. The reserve studies we can. The reserve studies you've got, so you've got the reserve studies.
I wasn't asking about that.
No, the engineering study we can't. It's a legal document.
I was just curious as to
We
what
don't
was
want
in
that
it.
public knowledge either.
It hurts your negotiation.
Yeah.
I get it. I
It's not
just
very
was
fun reading
curious.
either.
No.
Did I hear you say that for that proxy, or, that, whatever you're calling that, you have to have 10% people turn out or vote or whatever, and you only need 51%?
Of that 10%. Yeah, you're right. Under the governing,
Any declaration?
to change certain aspects of the governing documents, we need 10% of the homeowners. So 10% of the 937 send in a vote or vote on the day. And to pass it, we need 51% of that.
Okay. Would that be, just curious, would that be the same thing the villas want to change how they're governed?
It has to also be agreed by the board. But yes,
Okay.
yes. To answer your question, yes, if you had something in the governing documents, so for instance, Article 5, Amendment 5, if you said, okay, we don't like this, we want to change this, if you can lobby for that to be done.
Right.
And you need to get the percentages agreed that support your action. And then it goes out to, like we've done a notice out to the community. Then you have to get 10% of the community to vote, and 51% of that 10% has to approve it.
Okay. I just, I wasn't.
Do we need to have
Yeah. No, I think.
No, of the whole community.
I don't know why.
Yes.
I don't know why when.
Well, because you're part of the overall community. I know the villas.
They can care less. The rest of
That's why it would be a challenge to get things changed. I mean, we challenged to get 94 homes to actually sign the proxy for something which is going to benefit them in terms of will increase the capital contributions to 2,000.
94 homes we would have to get.
Yes.
That's not that many.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it could sound like a lot, maybe not.
Pickleball.
And the agenda, I still don't write
With the meeting notice out and the board here and the board down at the golf course.
We used to.
I can't speak to that.
Email on what?
The agenda go out in the email?
It did not this week. It can go on
I didn't see
board.
it last time either, but I just was curious about it, because we used to always get it with our email.
It was posted on the board out here, but I can put it into the manager's update. I did forget this time. It was on the last one, the last board meeting.
You're sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Like 90%. But I'll check. It was on one. I did forget.
We do post it out there, but you're right. It should be sent out with the invite.
Yeah, we get emails about, I wish to get 5 emails a week about something, so it'd be nice if we got that.
Good to know you're signed up, Kathy.
I'm signed up. So we know what it.
That's what.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Background checks, is that for some reason that just came up?
Yeah, there's been, how am I going to phrase this? There's been some concerns raised about how allowing certain people into the community, and should we be taking background checks or even prohibiting people who have felony records? Should we be prohibiting people from purchasing in the community? So that's been raised, which is why we've raised it with the attorney to get their advice on it.
To see if you can do that by
You can, I mean, there's a couple of things you can do. And again, it goes through this whole process of giving 14 days notice to the change in the documents, getting the percentaging approval. So you can prohibit certain people who committed certain felon. Those are easier to get approval for than just general felonies. That's a more complex change to the documents. So we're working through that to try and, protect the community.
That's the entrance into the community, but just to kind of close the loop on that question. Once an individual is purchased here, there's really no way to evict them.
Yeah. Okay.
Depends on the crime too and how close they are to the pool.
Yeah,
There is.
Absolutely.
There is.
If the crime's bad enough, they're going to get a new residence, a new address.
Well, yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please, at 8 o'clock? Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody, for joining today.
That was second, yeah. Oh, that's not bad. I got until the adjournment.
Hey, neighbor.
Mark?